Ambassador Kethavar had witnessed many species join the Galactic Coalition, but none quite like the humans. Their reputation preceded them: wild, unpredictable, prone to decisions that made seasoned military strategists clutch their secondary hearts in horror. The Zephyrian diplomat's crystalline features reflected the holographic display showing Earth's military doctrine, a document that read more like a collection of desperate gambits than actual strategy. "Suicide charges," he muttered to his aide, a young Korathi named Velthar. "They call it going out in a blaze of glory. What civilized species plans for such barbarism?" Velthar's tentacles writhed nervously. "Sir, their acceptance into the coalition was unanimous. Even the Arcturus Council voted in favor." "Politics," Kethavar dismissed with a wave of his elongated fingers. "The humans have resources we need. That doesn't make them reliable allies." The conversation was interrupted by an urgent transmission. Admiral Thane of the human delegation appeared on screen, his weathered face grim. "Ambassador, we've got a situation. The Devourers have broken through the Kepler defense line. They're 3 jumps from the Coalition core worlds." Kethavar's composure cracked. The Devourers, an ancient mechanical plague that had consumed 17 civilizations, had been contained beyond the outer rim for 2 centuries. "How many ships?" 40,000 confirmed, maybe more." Thane's jaw tightened. "They've adapted to our energy weapons. Conventional tactics won't work." The next 72 hours blurred together in emergency sessions. Fleet after fleet fell back as the Devourers advanced, their swarm ships adapting to each new defensive strategy within hours. The Zephyrian crystal tactics, perfected over millennia, proved useless. The Korathi web strike formations were torn apart. Even the legendary Arcturus phalanx crumbled before the relentless mechanical tide. As evacuation orders went out for the core worlds, Admiral Thane requested a final audience with the Coalition Command. "We have a plan," he announced to the assembled representatives. Fleet Admiral Zixara of the Arcturians leaned forward, her 6 eyes narrowing. "Admiral, your people have already lost 12 vessels. Perhaps it's time to—" "Listen to me," Thane interrupted, a breach of protocol that would have been unthinkable weeks ago. "We've run the simulations. There's one way to stop them, but it requires something your people won't understand." Kethavar felt a chill. "What are you proposing?" Thane activated a tactical display. "The Devourers adapt by consuming and analyzing our technology. They're strongest at range, but their adaptation matrices need time to process new data. Up close, in the first few seconds of contact, they're vulnerable." "You're suggesting a close-quarters engagement?" Velthar's voice rose an octave. "Against 40,000 ships?" "Not just close quarters." Thane's smile was sharp as broken steel. "Ramming speed." The chamber erupted. "Madness! Suicide! Barbaric!" The voices overlapped in a dozen languages, but the meaning was universal. Kethavar stood slowly. "Admiral, are you seriously proposing that your entire fleet commit ritual suicide?" "Not suicide," Thane corrected. "Sacrifice. There's a difference." He expanded the display. "Every human ship carries a gravitational implosion device, a technology we've never shared. When triggered at point-blank range, it creates a localized singularity. One ship can take out 50 Devourer vessels." "Your mathematics are flawed," Admiral Zixara protested. "Even if successful, you don't have enough ships to—" "We have 8,000 vessels," Thane interrupted. 8,000 crews who understand what needs to be done. 8,000 humans who've made their choice." The chamber fell silent. Kethavar stared at the human admiral, trying to comprehend the enormity of what he was hearing. "You're asking your entire species' military to die." "I'm not asking," Thane replied quietly. "They've already volunteered." 3 hours later, Kethavar watched from the command ship as the human fleet formed up. No formations, no elegant tactical arrangements, just 8,000 ships pointed directly at the Devourer swarm like bullets in a gun chamber. "Fleet command to all vessels," Thane's voice echoed across the comm channels. "Remember why we're here. Remember who we're protecting. Make it count. What followed defied every principle of civilized warfare. The humans accelerated to maximum velocity, their ships screaming through space on intercept courses with the Devourer vanguard. The mechanical ships opened fire, their adapted weapons tearing through human hulls, but momentum carried the damaged vessels forward. The first impact came like thunder in the void. Captain Sarah Martinez's destroyer, engines failing and life support gone, smashed into a Devourer battleship at 90% light speed. The gravitational implosion device triggered, and both ships vanished into a brief, brilliant singularity that consumed everything within 1,000 kilometers. Then another, and another. Kethavar watched in stunned silence as 8,000 pinpricks of light blossomed across the display, each one marking the death of a human crew and the destruction of dozens of Devourer vessels. The mathematical impossibility unfolded before his eyes. The swarm that had seemed unstoppable simply ceased to exist, consumed by the very recklessness they had dismissed as primitive barbarism. When the light faded, Admiral Thane's flagship was gone. The entire human fleet was gone. But so were the Devourers. In the aftermath, as rescue ships searched for survivors and found only debris, Kethavar stood before the Coalition Council with a new understanding. The humans hadn't been reckless, they had been ruthlessly practical. They had looked at an impossible situation and found the one solution that civilized minds couldn't conceive. They saved us all, he told the assembly, his voice heavy with something that might have been shame. We called them reckless, but they were willing to pay the price we couldn't imagine paying. Felthar approached him after the session, tentacles drooping with grief. Sir, was it worth it? All those lives? Kethavar looked out at the stars, at the worlds that would see another sunrise because 8,000 humans had chosen duty over survival. Ask me in 1,000 years when our children's children remember this day. Ask them if human recklessness was worth preserving their future. The memorial would be built later, 8,000 stars arranged in the pattern of Earth's constellations, each one bearing a single word in the human language, courage. But that night, as reports came in from the core world celebrating their salvation, Kethavar finally understood what the humans had been trying to tell them all along. Sometimes the most reasonable thing to do is something completely unreasonable. Sometimes recklessness is just another word for hope.